Good morning. Thank you very much for this warm introduction. I will immediately start my presentation. Here it is. I hope you can see this. So I'm very pleased that you have chosen this workshop and to hear and learn more about the pioneering women in social sciences, our trinational virtual teaching project. First of all, a short overview on my presentation. My talk will be in 4 parts. In the first part, I'm going to give some information on the project background, the main aims, and the structure of the cooperation. Then also about the academic and creative collaboration. I will also talk about, or a bit about, the evaluation results, mainly the given diversity in the project, and how the students dealt with it, and we lecturers as well. And finally, I would like to give you an insight into our educational comics, and thus also to encourage and hopefully inspire you to use them yourself. Now let's move to the first part of my talk, which is about the idea and background and involved partners in the project. The title of the trinational research teaching project is Invisible Women in the Social Sciences and Social Work. And the thematic focus of this cross-university teaching and research project is the exploration of biographies, of professional biographies of female academics and scientists, of historical figures in the fields of social science, research, and social work. We started the project in October 2021 and worked together in the project for 12 months. And as a result, 4 educational comics are available on a website set up for this purpose as an open educational resource. So, who have been the cooperation partners? 3 universities from 3 countries are involved with their 3 specific perspectives. The Vienna University of Economics and Business brought the diversity focus to the project. Students there take part in a diversity management specialization program and study courses such as Bachelor of Business and Social Sciences, International Business Administration, or Business Law. The students from Finland are studying in a master's degree program in social work and international perspectives to social services. And our students from Germany, Dresden, study the master program, social work, and we have science and research as our lens. 3 universities, 3 countries, 3 perspectives and teaching focuses, and all united by the shared ambition to make female researchers pioneers in the social sciences in Finland, Austria, and Germany visible and to learn with and from each other. And the project was possible with financial support of the DAAD in the program IBEC. As an overarching goal, we were guided by the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, in particular by the pillars 4 and 5, so by quality education and gender equality. For example, we wanted to foster internationalization at home. That means to offer all students global international perspectives with their program of study, whether or not they have the chance to spend time abroad. We wanted to create opportunities for students' engagement with diversity within their local society, their local environment. And for this, we included virtual mobility through online working with the partner universities. Furthermore, a central goal was to make the contribution of women to science and research visible. For example, in textbooks of empirical research, one can search in vain for women pioneers and their scientific contributions. Also important to show the underrepresentation of women in research and in high-level positions at universities and research institutions. So it is also about uncovering and highlighting opportunities and barriers for women in the social sciences. I now turn to the implementation of the project. In the preparation of the project and the seminars, we as lecturers from the 3 universities had to agree on a selection of female academics. An important criterion for the selection was, of course, that all perspectives of the 3 universities could be covered. But it was also important that all students had access to the relevant material and literature. And it was not at all difficult for us to identify interesting scientists. It was much more difficult to find publications in English so that all students could have access to them. This moment limited us, especially for German women academics. That means the visibility of German women scientists were clearly limited due to the language barrier. In the end, we decided on these 6 pioneering women, and I will introduce them very shortly. There is Minna Sillanpää as a political activist and the first female minister in Finland in 1926. There is Hilma Granqvist as an outstanding Finnish researcher who carried out research on women's lives, mainly in Palestine, and made particular use of photography in her work. Beatrice Webb, who can be described as a co-founder of empirical research together with her husband, Sidney Webb. She funded the London School of Economics and published extensively in the field of research, methodology, and methods. Dorothy Swain-Thomas and Maria Hoda belong to the first generation of professional women sociologists, Swain-Thomas in the USA, in the environment of the Chicago School, and also for theoretical sociology, for example, with the Thomas theorem. Maria Hoda is an outstanding scientist known as one of the authors of the study The Unemployment of Marienthal, and many, many other empirical studies and social reports. Last but not least, Margaret Mead, also US American and social and cultural scientist who became known above all for her research visits to the South Pacific. As I said in the beginning, the major goal of the project was to make professional careers and achievements of female scientists available to broad public through the use of comics as an open educational resource and learning material and teaching material. But why comics? Why did we choose this format? Non-fiction comics, educational comics, or information comics want to have an impact. Education comics want to provide information about certain experiences or phenomena. They want to teach their readers something. The aim of educational non-fiction comics is to reach those who find science too dry and scientific papers far too long and complicated. In a comic, content becomes more accessible without losing too much of its complexity. Since not everyone is an expert in every field, we all know that, an expert to non-expert communication is becoming more and more important. And our students were the experts in their specific fields, in research, in social policy, and in diversity. The idea was that they would present their expert knowledge in the comics in such a way that it would be easy for other students, for beginners, to understand the content and would especially hook beginners. Some authors name it just like that, getting students on the hook via comics, on the hook for a certain scientific academic topic. This is exactly what we wanted to try to do in our exchange. The use of comics in teaching at university is based on the idea that words and pictures together in interaction can teach more and better than words alone. So various authors speak of favorable memory aids. In German we say, or have the impression, Danke Bridge for this. So information comics are not only attractive, but there's an empirical evidence for a well-funded transfer of information. On the next two slides, I want to give you a short impression of how we have implemented the seminars during the 2 semesters. With the idea of a comic as a goal and these 6 biographies of female scientists we started in winter term 21-22. The project has a 2-step structure in the winter semester. First, all universities develop their scientific content focus and contribution to the course and then presented it in joint virtual seminars. That means the Finnish students gave presentations for all the students on social political issues. So the role and position of girls and women in the education system, in the family, and at workplace. The Austrian students presented theoretical concepts such as gender, intersectionality, or the glass ceiling concept. And our students from Dresden gave lectures on various research aspects, biography research, observation procedures, or document analysis. In the second step, Finnish, Austrian, and German students work together in mixed groups on one biography on the professional careers under the given 3 perspectives and also presented their results to the whole group. And step 3, there was a pooling of knowledge. The summer semester, so the second semester, again consisted of these 2 or 3 stages, and for research, or not research, for resource reasons, we concentrated on 4 biographies. Marie Jahoda, Dorothy Swain-Thomas, Beatrice Webb, and Hilma Granqvist. And the students now worked on a more detailed exploration. They looked, for example, at the work of these women in detail and identified issues that could and should be translated into comics from their point of view. That means the students became experts of the biographies. We as lecturers were more or less supporters of this process. And in the third stage, the cooperation with 2 comic artists was added. So the theoretical knowledge was translated into a story, into a narrative together and implemented visually. This was a real co-production in the creation of the comics, with many feedback loops in which storyboards were created and adapted again and again. So look at us. Finally, this resulted in the 4 comics that we have as a product on our website. I would now give you a very short, also because of the time a bit, I will give you a very short impression of the diversity in this cooperation. As already mentioned, different study programs with different course subjects, full-time, part-time students work together in this project. This was, on the one hand side, wanted and intended and a really huge benefit for the project, but more challenging were the structural differences. So the attendance, the rhythm of the courses, and the coordination between them. Also different life situations, different assessments, all these things we know from these international cooperations. Here's some more graphs on these different aspects, so the distribution of genders, also the living or family-related situation with or without children. 65% of the students in Finland had children, while Austria, none of the students had children, for example. Also, a very short look at this, how the students deal with these given diversity, intercultural competence as an ability to specifically develop knowledge, skills, and also attitudes that are appropriate in intercultural interactions, could expand it in this course, in expression oneself in a foreign language, in country-specific knowledge, in changing perspectives when working together in cross-university groups. This also includes the necessary process of self-reflection and reflection on others, and also conflict management. Here are some examples that show also the challenges of this project. On the right-hand side, you can see some impressions from the qualitative open feedback. You can see the language barriers were seen as a very big hurdle and led to the phenomenon of freezing and avoiding, which is known from the theory of third space and digital international cooperations. Students fall silent, avoid speaking their opinion, avoid getting involved. But on the other hand side, the understanding also become visible for the life situation, the study situation of the others. So one said the others were motivated and tried to participate, but had too much to do with their exams that they couldn't give a lot. I will skip that too. And now I will give you also a very, very short impression of our research, our educational comics. These are these 4, Swain-Thomas, Yahuda, Granquist, and Webb. And let's start with Dorothy Swain-Thomas. Here we can show, for example, under the headline diversity, the Matthew and Matilda effect very well, when important insights that have entered the repository of theory, such as the Thomas theorem, have been attributed exclusively to William Isaac atomics for a very long time. In Dorothy's life and work, one also recognizes the systematic nature of doing gender, when specific gender representations is preferred by the culture of an institution in science and at universities. On the other side, the research side, as an example, Dorothy can be shown, for example, to be related to quantitative research. Also, the book, the study together with William Isaac, The Child in America, where typical behavior problems and programs for the rehabilitation of the child are discussed. In the case of the Finnish scientist Hilma Granqvist, the students focused on her personal steadfastness. Among other things, the comics tells the story of how difficult it was for her to gain her place at a university. As a Finnish researcher in Palestine, the students focused on photography as a method, but also, for example, on question of field access, building confidence in research abroad, and her role as a researcher. Also, Beatrice Webb's life and work, the issues of doing gender, doing difference, adaptation run like a red thread through. However, a heritage in the field of research might be, for example, her reflections and practical advices on note-taking. But also the Minority Report of the Poor Law Commission. Her strong socio-political interest and commitment is also evident here. Among other things, she is a founding member of the London School of Economics. And now, last but not least, Marie Yahuda, who is not that invisible because of the maritime study, but whose part in the study is still too little appreciated. The students particularly stressed the following aspects here. For example, how the walking speed shows the distribution of roads among the genders. And with regard to the maritime study, the political circumstances of the making of the study are strongly emphasized in the comic, and following from this, Marie Yahuda's imprisonment and flight, but also various references to survey methods. These here are very, very small examples, very, very brief insight. There's much, much more in the comics. And my summary, this is not a conclusion in a narrow sense, but rather a gathering of first conclusions. So when you ask the question, have we achieved the goals? I would say yes, to a very large extent. Lessons learned. I mentioned the third space, so to make this third space in virtual academic collaboration visible. So this space holds uncertainties, and the students are not familiar with it. And if you name these elephant, this reduces stress and pressure. This also includes scheduling physical meetings as early as possible in the program. And another lessons learned is, of course, it has shown that comics are useful tools, are hooks which engage and help to motivate students. We saw it in our groups. So comics can have the function to hook in higher education. So further to-dos, you can see the three bullet points here, and I will close my presentation with a last look at my contact details, but also really I recommend it to have a look at our website. Thank you very much.